Are you struggling to find the right business, or are you in the wrong business like I was? Stay tuned to learn more about how to choose the right business and avoid these costly mistakes like I have. For those who don't know who I am, I'm Xavier Kelly. I co-own Kelly Rentals, an event and equipment rental and staffing company that does over $1.4 million a year. I make these videos to show you how to start and grow a service business. Let's get into the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Whoa! You didn't hear me. Like and comment. I need it. I need it. Also too, comment down below. Let me know what service business you're thinking about starting so I can talk about it. In December of 2021, I started a dumpster rental business out of Dallas, Texas. If you don't know what a dumpster rental business is, basically all it is that a company owns a dumpster. You call them, hey, I want to borrow this dumpster so I can throw stuff in there. We take the dumpster over there for one trip, and then we leave it, and then they load all the stuff up. Then we come back out, pick that dumpster up, take it to the landfill, drop everything off there, and then hopefully from there you go either to a customer's place and drop it off again, or you bring it back to your yard. For me, really bring it back to my yard. Now let's get to the interesting part of why I started, or to be honest, why I shouldn't have started this, was because of fear. It was in the slow season of Kelly Rentals, and I was thinking to myself, I really need to figure out, make sure I find something to be able to keep bringing money in at all times. And really the property that I just spent $40,000 getting into this house that I'm in. Wrong on both. But really to diversify my income away from Kelly Rental. And this leads into the main thesis of this video right here, and something that I think we all need to learn and stuff like that, is that when you decide and you choose one of these service business, you have to make sure this service business is the right business for you. And what I mean by that, you have to understand your time, what your expectations are, and what your skill set. One of the most important thing right here is like your mindset too. So my mindset was at the time really not in a good mindset. As I said before, the event industry is pretty slow in season in Texas, between really the last week of December all the way up to the last week of February, which we had 2 ice storms this year. And it's just slow because it's colder. People don't want to do stuff outside. I ended up purchasing a new home, which is the one I'm in right now. And you know, in my mind, I was like, oh, new year, new me. I'm gonna start working out. Didn't start working out until about probably May. So I was really in a fear-based mindset of just because of all these things right here. But you got to watch yourself not being there. And I really wanted this to be another business, but really I ran it, and the effort I put into it was more like a side business, if that. There are like 3 basics when it comes to choosing a service business. There are 3 types of service businesses. There are equipment-based, labor-based, and a hybrid of the 2. The next thing is where the service is going to be taking place. I call that service location. There's inbound service, outbound service. Only 2 ways to get into business. You either buy a business or you start one. There's really no other way. So if you're looking at service location, generally an inbound service location will be when a customer comes to you. So if you're working at so much like a car mechanic, they bring their car to you. You're not a mobile mechanic, which is outbound. Outbound is going to be when you go to your customers to do the service they do, which is like when we go out to deliver chairs to someone, and the other one would be inbound when someone comes pick up chairs or tables from us. And most businesses can have a hybrid of the 2, but usually is one of them that is the bigger focus of it. So for us, for the Kelly Rental business, literally about 70% of the business is us going to the customer, and 30% of them coming to us. But in dollar amount, it's about 90% of us going to the customer. In dumpster rentals, it is 100% you go to the customer. And in general terms, when it comes to starting a business, it's usually more hands-on. You have to create all the processes. There's nothing in place. There's just you starting this business. On one hand, I had one business that 90% of the revenue came from delivering the stuff and going back and forth to that location, which was outbound. And then on the other hand, I had another business that didn't make as much profit, that had to go 100% of the time to the customer, which I thought was fine at first. It'll be a couple hours, but then I went to the landfill. And maybe I forgot, because we've done junk removal before, that the landfill is a toss-up. You know, at one point in time, it could be 25, 30 minutes. You know, another day, it could literally be 4 hours. I was there for 4 hours, multiple occasions on this business. What the business needed didn't meet what I was able to give the business, and I wasn't willing to compromise my main business for basically, I now know it my side. You can't let your side business and your main business meet, if you know what I mean. The first problem I had was like I didn't have a clear understanding, really didn't have a clear understanding for anything, but I didn't understand where I was at. And I should have asked myself these 3 basic questions. How much time do I have? None. How much money do I have? None. I'm joking. I had a little bit of money at the time. What was my expectation? Make billions, which obviously didn't happen because I'm still in this house. You should subscribe. to get me there. Like most people, I made the most reasonable choices. I had really no time, but I was like, I'll make time. I had a small amount of money. I had about like $12,000 I can put into this, and I was like, throw it in there. Not like each trailer don't cost $15,000. Oh, my expectations were high. It's like I'm a 4 trying to get 212. Didn't work out. So I was overreaching pretty much a lot. So wrong. Now, this leads you into the differences. So let's talk about differences between each types of businesses. 3 types. Labor-based businesses. The next one is going to be equipment-based businesses, and then a hybrid of the two. So the best way to think about this right here is determining what type of business you're doing and where it falls in. Like, what is your biggest limiting factor? If your biggest limiting factor is equipment, so for us, since we rent out equipment, that is the biggest limiting factors. You can't rent out more than what you have, and equipment is generally more expensive than our labor. If you're doing something that's more technical on the labor side, then it's generally labor. Like HVAC, plumbers, they're harder to get to than the actual equipment is to purchase. So a labor business, most times you can't take on more work because you don't have enough qualified workers to do the work. Examples of this right here is cleaners, pest control, landscaping, junk removal, which is all labor, welders, roofers, plumbers, HVACs. Labor businesses are cheaper to start because usually you're just selling your time. If you are starting this business yourself, then you can do the services and you don't have to hire someone to do it, and you can learn how to do it for a lot of things. Now, if you're like an electrician or something like that, you need like some type of permit or anything like that, then that's not gonna work for you. It is hard to recruit skilled labor. So when you get into it, you realize that like this is no cakewalk. You need to find some way in some part of your system, needs to be part of your core system of how you develop and grow talent. Equipment businesses, where your main limitation is the equipment. For us, when we run out of chairs, it doesn't matter how many more people we can have coming to work, we can't rent out any more chairs. That's when equipment becomes the bottleneck at a certain point. So here's a couple of simple. Obviously, equipment rental businesses, they could be party rentals, this can be tool rentals, construction equipment rental. It can actually be property rental. Next thing, vehicle renting, land clearing, septic draining. For equipment-based businesses, the labor is, I would say, easier to get. Hybrid, and these businesses are special. These are businesses that limitations are not just based off of equipment, but also off of skilled labor. Both of them are very important. So for dumpster rentals, I looked at hiring other people, but it is pretty hard to find people who can drive trailers. But usually people with CDLs want to go work and drive an 18-wheeler or drive something that they can make more money on. So that was the issue. You have restoration and mitigation, where you have this equipment that you have to purchase, but also too, you have to train someone or hire someone who can do this. Usually in these businesses, it's less competitive because not a lot of people choose businesses where it's hard to find people and expensive to get the equipment. Expensive to start, expensive to scale, hard to recruit skilled labor. Pretty simple, but also too, that's what most of your money's made off. The harder something is to do, the more expensive something is, the bigger the wall of Eden you can put around it. It's hard, there's not a lot of competition. And yet I chose the business that was very expensive. You have to buy a truck and a trailer. So every time you get one truck, you got to eventually get 2 to 3 trailers. Should be easy, right? You already know I was wrong. Now let's get into it. What business should you start? All you have is time. You have no money. You don't even have no real skill set. I would recommend starting on these 3 businesses. Preferably 2 of these. One of them you're going to have to learn some type of skill set before you actually get going with it. First thing would be lawn maintenance. Number 2, junk removal. Number 3, pressure washing. Most of these businesses are simple in nature, and most times they just take discipline and hard work. If you do have time and you have some professional skills or some type of reasonable ability that you think you can learn these skills, I would look into going into the trades. They're not lying when they say plumbers make more than doctors. So these businesses right here, I would say have higher skills over right here, are going to be fencing, HVAC, plumbing, welding. These take all the same as ones above, but taking a little bit more learning, and you have to might have some type of skills or licenses to get started in these. And if you have skills, money, and time, then to be honest, why are you watching this? You probably already have a business already. Go do that. So basically my resolution in this whole thing is I'm shutting down ground rentals and I'm going to focus on other ventures. And one thing I really encourage people who do have one business and trying to build another business is to build another business that is kind of related to that business that can build off of it. Makes it a lot easier. The reason why I'm stopping this is the same reason why I started this. Because I started this with fear and I'm not scared no more. If you like this video, then Google thinks you would like this video, and this is my last video. So please watch these and let me know. Make sure you like and subscribe.